everything. Like I say, one vehicle, maybe not a problem. Multiply that by the amount of vehicles that are driving around, and yes, it is going to become a problem. So that's why you have regulations of what you can drive, go off-road for. Generally it's for the big five. Start a stampede now. While the rest of the herd were fine, obviously we had changed spots, changed positions. So these buffalo haven't really had a chance to get used to us. There's some buffalo actually on the turnout mound here. Just want to see if we can get around this branch, hopefully be opposite them. Youngsters here as well. So what I want to try and do is continue up this road eventually. Sure, can you get a shot of the buffalo climbing up the termite mound? He just looks like he's struggling a little bit. He seems to have got his footing right. Quite a huge bull up there. That must be where the better grass is. So you can hear the rattling sound of the oxpeckers, and I'm hoping that we're going to see some of the courtship displays as we go into spring. I haven't yet seen how the oxpeckers display to each other, but they live most of their life on the large herbivores. They say the courtship, the mating, the feeding, sometimes even the roosting, although they will go and roost in trees. The only thing that doesn't happen is the nesting. Right on top of the termite mound there. Yeah, I'm going to see if we can pull forward a little bit. Looks like we need to relax down a bit again. See if we can have a look at some of the youngsters there. And what I think I will do is see if we can go back towards the old hyena den and just see if there is anything around there from the hyenas. bulls not quite happy. So I do wonder if we're going to be seeing this herd making its way down towards the dam, maybe a little bit later on. They all seem to be quite content at grazing at the moment and resting. It is a slightly overcast here today, so again, when it's in the heat of the day, in summer especially, you'll get the animals resting, finding a shady spot, chewing the cud, and basically not moving around and wasting too much energy. And obviously when you get the heat, you become very lethargic and there's no point in moving if you don't have to. And the feeding tends to happen in the cooler parts of the day, sometimes even at night. But with it being overcast, as I say, they can utilise the coolness a lot more. So you do see a slight shift in behaviour when it's winter and cooler temperatures. Some of the very large bulls just off to the right. It looks like they are moving into the bush now. Remember, the herd this size, it will be mixed. You will have females and males. You also have the youngsters, all different ages, also mixed in there. Gestation period is about 11 months. Going to try and move forward one more time. It looks like there's some sparring going up ahead as well, but they seem to be very, very chilled, very relaxed. Some youngsters in here as well. Just trying to estimate the size of the herd. Maybe about 150. Yeah, you can see a complete change in behaviour now. Not really getting any moving away from us. Got one even refusing to move off the road in front of us. I say it just takes a little bit of patience, a little bit of time. But eventually, as I say, they relax and they start to understand, you know, you're not there to harm them. Okay, we've got a question coming through. Hi Anne, welcome on board this morning. Wanting to know if the middle of the horn, if the colour has anything to do with age. In a way, it does, but it's more as the buffalo gets older, the horns actually start to come together, so you're actually seeing less and less of the forehead. So if you, unfortunately it looks like the youngster's moved off, but if you do happen to see a youngster, we'll see if we can have a look at it. But just like wildebeest, the youngsters have the horns that stick up, and they'll start to grow within the first month. They look like little devil horns. And then they start to move up, and then over the next couple of years they'll grow a little bit taller, and then as they reach about 4 or 5 they'll start to grow out to the sides and droop down. And obviously as you're getting into an older animal they'll droop down even more, and the middle part will start to come together. So if you get a very, very old bull, you'll see a very quite a flat line where the two horns meet. As I say, there's no real difference in the colour of the horn in the centre, apart from, as I say, what's there when they're younger, between the hair between the horns. And remember, it is the same as other antelope. It's bone covered by keratin, and the keratin is the same substance that makes up your hair, your fingernails, the porcupine's quill, the bird's feather, the turtle's beak, the hoof. It's quite an amazing substance. So versatile. Even a rhino's horn is made of keratin. If you think about all those possibilities, most of them are there for protection. So your head is covered by hair for protection from the sun. Fingernails protect your fingertips. Porcupine quills protect its body. Your birds, insulation. So again, protection from heat, as well as obviously flying. I'm starting to get a few sparring matches going on now. And you will see the young bulls doing this, even from a very early age. And it's building up the muscles, it's building up the skills that they need later on for when they really need to fight to gain access to females. And obviously the stronger you are, the fitter you are, the more females you're going to be able to mate with. Actually hear the crashing of the horns together. I'm going to see if we can just pull forward again. The herd is a little bit on the move a little bit. So I want to see if we can get the sound of them moving all around us. Somehow we've found ourselves at the back of the herd again. Never mind. Oh, we got 2 more sparring, there we go. I'm going to see if we can just get past this tree here. There we go. are you guys all running? I think it was... Unfortunately with the herd, it's a herd mentality. If one starts running, then it kind of sets off like dominoes. So I wonder if there was a couple of bulls that were chasing after each other, and that just sent some of them running. Because there's a lot of the herd that are still standing around and kind of going, what are you running for? A big herd like this, you will have a bit like an elephant with family units. So you have mother, daughters, and they'll tend to stay closer together. And generally at the front of the herd, you'll get the more dominant females. So obviously, as the herd moves, they're going to be coming up to the better pastures. And if a female has just given birth, then she does move up in the rank. And she does move up to the front of the herd, because obviously she's going to need to feed the calf, and she's going to need the better quality food than the herd gets at the back. Obviously they'll still get to the pastures, but they're going to get kind of what's left behind from the herd, and obviously it's going to be trampled on as well. You can feel that sun is trying to break through. As the herd moves off, I think we're going to do the same. I'm going to have a quick look around where the old hyena den was, where we heard at least one of the pups from the hyena. But as I say, hyenas will generally have a den where she gives birth, and she will then have those pups or cubs. You can use either for a hyena. She will have those in the den for maybe 9 or 10 days, and then she'll move to the main den site, where we're still not sure where it is. But it would be nice to try and see if there is any sign of her still around there. I did go back just before we went on leave, and I didn't see any sign, but we'll just go back and just see if there is anything there, just to make sure. Mark did make a comment about a female calling every morning, somewhere at the back of camp. Also I heard her again this morning, which does make us wonder if there is a den site close to camp. And as I say, I thought it may have been, when we did find this den that we're going to, we were hoping that was going to be the main one. stations in Yartia, so Fambring south from Buffelsipcut line and River Road stations into Open Rock. Look for the 2-track again. So I haven't been here since I went to Australia, so I'm hoping I can actually find the 2-track. You came with me, didn't you, last time?
Sorry, where?
To the hyena den.
Yes.
So you also be able to remember where the 2-track was.
Maybe.
Maybe. Oh, very warm welcome to Anson. Hi Anson, I hope you're well. Sounds like you're enjoying the safari this morning, which is wonderful. And Anson wanting to know the age, lifespan of a hyena and jackal. Jackal, roughly around the same as a normal dog. Pet dog at home. So you're looking maybe about 12, something like that. And hyenas, maybe a little bit longer lived. I'd be looking about 15, 16 years old. Too far from this little road here. Richard, great to hear from you as well. And just wondering, you know who the matriarch is of the hyena clan which we're talking about? And would her female cub really have a high status? Richard, in hyena society, your status is very, very important. And we believe it is. Sorry, just quickly head over to the side to see how we are with that branch that's sticking out. Okay. We around it? We believe it is floppy ear her clan that's still in the area. And as I say, any of her offspring will have a high status. And even the males, and what's quite interesting is if there's males who are born to a female of a very high rank, especially if it's the matriarch, they are generally allowed to stay a lot longer in the clan than maybe a male of a lower ranking. So once the male is able to go off and forage for himself, hunt for himself, then he's pretty much that's it. He has to kind of move on. But if a male is born to, that's usually about 3 years, usually about 2 years old. But if a male is born to the alpha female, say he can stay maybe 3 or 4 years. And obviously if they can stay that long, they can grow in size. They can obviously have quite a lot of attitude because they've had their mother as the matriarch, so they've had the privileges. Yeah, this is it. Doesn't look like there is anything. Let's see if we can view the hole. Can you see it through there? Is that alright there? More back. More in the air a little bit. There? Yeah. So this is the mound where we saw the female, and I definitely heard one pup call out. I say there's no sign around here. When it's a communal den site, you expect to see a lot of the vegetation sort of stripped away, a lot of maybe old bones, and obviously a lot of dung close by. And as I was saying about the male, if he's able to grow up and become much larger, then he has the ability to obviously dominate over other males, so that immediately puts him at an advantage. But he also has more success at mating because he has more of an attitude, he has more of an assurance about himself. Females with the heightened level of testosterone, they're very, very aggressive, and males have to be extremely careful when approaching a female to mate, and they'll sort of bow down and wait for her to really signal at a distance that she's ready to mate. But obviously if he's able to have a little bit more self-assurance, then he's going to make that step closer to the female. He's going to take the initiative to go and mate with a female, and apparently there is a lot of research into that, and they have found that, let's say, these males who are from an alpha female, they do tend to have more matings than other males, because obviously of that dominance. Okay, so it doesn't look like there is much activity here. I'm going to have a quick scratch around, just see if there is any sign. As I say, I don't think there is. I'm just going to have a quick look, see if there is any tracks there or anything. Sure. There goes sword on the ear. Yeah, not much. I didn't want to go too close to the hole, just in case. Obviously, there is something there, but there wasn't. It doesn't look like there's any fresh activity around there at all, not even from anything else utilising the hole. But as I say, just in case, just didn't want to get too close. And the golden rule is, if you're approaching a hole like that, you never, ever, ever walk straight up to it. You never walk in front of it, because if there is something down there and it shoots out, you're in the line of fire. That's why I sort of took the side approach. On the way back, found a piece of bone. Looks like it's possibly from a buffalo. It's a bit difficult to say exactly which part, but it's quite heavy. I'm saying buffalo just because of the kill that we had was fairly close by. I remember the kill that the Mokpokos, the Majingi lions, chased the Gajima males off, and I wonder if this is part of from that kill. You never know, could be. And Mark's saying it looks like it could be elephant leg bone where the socket is. Could be. As I say, it's very old. There's a lot of deterioration going on. As I say, it's quite heavy. As I say, that's why I was going more for the buffalo, because I know of the carcass being in the area. But maybe it's from an elephant from a long, long, long time ago. But there's not really. So you can see a few teeth marks on it, but nothing too major, and there's a few sort of teeth marks here as well. So they would have chewed on this, and obviously that's why it's around here. I think you would have got some calcium from it, some nutrients. I'm not going to take it with, I'm going to leave it here, because remember, animals will utilise everything. So even this piece of bone is going to be utilised by something. Something will come along and eat it, whether it be a hyena, whether it be... I don't think a giraffe would really pick something like this up. A giraffe would go for smaller pieces, maybe parts of ribs, that sort of thing. But as I say, they tend to go for little pieces so they can pick it up and take it with them. Something like this, they'd have to keep the head down, and obviously that's going to put them at a disadvantage if there's any predators in the area. So that's why they wouldn't really pick up something like this. But kudu may come along and eat from it. They wouldn't normally pick it up and take it. They may just scratch at it. Porcupine also will maybe utilise it a little bit. Could possibly have been what was gnawing here. There's very, very small teeth marks as well. So a bit different to the larger piece, which is that the hyena would have made. Which, yeah, could be. But I'm going to leave it here. Tortoises also will utilise it. So quite a number of animals will eat bone for calcium and phosphorus. Okay, so where to now? Let's see if we can turn around here. Hi, Richard again. And also asking if a lion could tell if a female hyena is the alpha female, and would the lions kill the hyena if she's the matriarch? Would that be the reason why they would kill her? Quite an interesting question, Richard. Apparently you've seen it on a documentary where a lion killed the matriarch. I don't know if it was just coincidence. And I don't think they would actually be able to gain anything from that if they went ahead and killed the matriarch. It would be quite interesting to see that documentary. Because maybe with her being the alpha female, maybe she was much older, and maybe she got closer to the lions than maybe the rest of the clan members, and that could possibly be why the lion managed to get hold of her. Without actually seeing the footage, it's difficult for me to say. But I don't think they would be able to recognise her as a dominant. It's difficult to say. Maybe they do, but I don't know what the benefit to the lion would be. He wouldn't obviously gain rights over the clan, which would be... Sorry? Oh, okay. Mark's going to hopefully enlighten me on the documentary. Hopefully he might be able to enlighten me on... Apparently there was some information that came from it. As I say, just kind of really thinking out loud, I don't know what the lions would gain from actually killing the matriarch, unless to obviously deter the rest of the clan members. Kind of, you know, the leaders being killed, they can be chased away a lot easier, quite possibly. That'd be quite an interesting one. Okay, so Mark's kind of just confirming the pattern there. Saying that it throws the clan into disarray, and apparently it gives the lions a bit of a break. They don't chase the lions away from kills as much. Where do you want to go, Sebastian?
Wherever you want to go.
That's not helpful. Okay, let's go to Buffalo's Hook.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of activity around there. Go to Buffalo's Hook now. The rhino would have been long gone by now, unfortunately. So quite an interesting one. Thanks for sending that question through, Richard. That's the first time I've heard about that. As I say, it kind of makes sense. How the lion would recognise the matriarch. Quite an interesting one. I wonder if the documentary actually threw that one out as well. whether it be size, smell, maybe even picking up on the behaviour of the others and her. But there was also some research done on captive hyena, and it was found that the hyenas pitch when they call relates to their rank. So maybe lions are also able to pick up on that. Quite an interesting one. Not the same one as what we saw earlier. They've got much smaller territories than that. Little male. I think we see this one quite often. He lives around this fire break. Sorry? He's over there. He's over there. He's moved. He's moved. I can't see him now. He's behind the timber now. Oh, that's what I'm saying. I've lost him as well.
He's over there.
Oh yeah, okay. He's there. Looks like he's on his own though. So usually we see them in pairs along here. I wonder if something happened to the female. It's usually where the one is, the other one isn't too far away. Like with a lot of the dwarf antelope that live as a pair. He looks quite an old male. You can see the horns are quite long. He wouldn't have just set up a territory here. He would be a youngster. As I say, he seems to be quite relaxed, which makes me wonder if he has seen us quite a lot, or has seen vehicles quite a lot. Obviously he's next to quite a busy road here as well. And obviously you can see now with that red colour, they do blend in with the background extremely well. But you can see with it being one colour, especially when the sun's shining, you're going to see the shading, which helps obviously predators to detect animals, and that's why you get a lot of animals having disrupted markings on them. But the steenbok will tend to be where there's obviously a lot of cover, maybe longer grass. So this is quite open. So it will be able to hide in the long grass and sort of blend in. Especially out here, you can actually see quite nicely how that colour will help them, especially this time of year. But they will sit and wait, and that's how they'll actually try and avoid predators. They'll sit, they'll freeze, and if that predator gets too close, then it will run off as soon as it gets maybe half a meter away from it. So it will wait until that very, very last minute. And it's known as a startle response. And all it means is that they utilize the fact that if that predator gets so close, that if they rush off at the very last minute, the predator kind of takes a step back and is startled. And hopefully that gives the animal that few seconds which could actually save its life. Okay. So, leaving the Steenbok to his own devices. I can feel the sun starting to burn through the clouds here in Juma Game Reserve on such a wonderful morning so far. Our live safari here on Safari TV. I'm your guide this morning. My name's Tara. And joining me on the camera, holding on for dear life as we're driving after the dogs a little bit earlier on the drive, is Sebastian. Getting some wonderful shots of the animals and plants we're looking at. I haven't seen too many birds actually this morning. The wind's quite strong. It's been a little bit chilly. So I'm literally just feeling that sun, the warmth from it. So I think it's going to be an overly hot day today here. If you do have any questions, feel free to send them through to Final Control at safari.tv, where Mark is sitting waiting eagerly to send them through via the radio. And because we do it like that, we can get your answers live here on Game Drive, and it's as if you're sitting right where, speaking of birds, we don't have to see Barbara there. We're right out in the open, and he's doing what Barbara said to do best, hide in the tree. Gone. Just trying to see if we get a better view of it for you. Yeah. Hi Robin, welcome on board this morning. I'm wanting to know if I understand you correctly, is it true that warthogs can't sweat the same as pigs? I don't know if you mean pigs sweat or that they don't sweat, but most animals aren't capable of sweating. And that's why, especially if you see dogs panting, because they don't have sweat glands, you get the dogs panting to try and lose the moisture to cool down, using a special sort of temperature regulator. Sorry, just trying to get Gunda up the hill here, see if we can get a bit of a run up in it. Playing up a little bit this morning. Come on. yes, as I was saying, they have a mechanism in the back of their throat where they're able to lose the temperature or the heat of the body from the arteries and the veins. And the temperature is actually, the change is so much that it does actually help the body to cool down. And say, I've heard about this. You have to send me the information through now. But it's just like in the base of the brain of the eland, they're able to regulate the body temperature or to trick the brain into thinking that it's cooler. And that's the rete mirabile. And it's a similar sort of thing. It's a cluster of capillaries, arteries and veins, and the heat is transferred from the artery into the vein, so the brain of the eland thinks it's cooler than what it is because the blood is cooled down enough in the artery, so when the blood goes around the brain it's cooler, and say it tricks the brain and thinks it's cooler. So it's a similar sort of thing in the throat, and say the heat in the body of the animal is exchanged, it's sort of let out through the mouth, through the panting, that's where you get the hot air, but also the moisture on the tongue as well. And obviously into the tongue you've got the blood vessels, the moisture on the tongue is going to allow the heat to dissipate. And that's basically why we sweat as well. You get the water on your body, the water helps to cool down your body. So when water evaporates, it evaporates away with it. So that's what's happening on the dog's tongue. Say in the back of the neck. You have the exchange, the heat exchange as well. So all that helps to keep the dog cooler. And as I say, pigs also, like most animals, a lot of animals, they can't sweat. Though hyrax actually have sweat pads on their feet. And that helps to grip them onto the rocks. And the hyrax, also known as dassies, and they're closest living relative to the elephants. You don't really see them around here much. They rock dassies in the rocky areas. That's the most common one. So you'll see them around Cape Town, the Table Mountain. You'll see them. We used to see them a lot in my old reserve. We had a lot of rocky areas. It's not really the best habitat here for them. Hey, you can see final control from here. We're actually on a Vubu road at the moment, and with the vegetation dying back, I wonder if we can actually get a shot of where Mark is sitting in final control. Are you going to be able to see it through here? There you go, yeah, you can see it there. Let me try and move back a little bit. So it actually gives you an idea of where final control is compared to where we are at the moment. So that's our camp. Let's say we're on Vubu Road at the moment. We've just turned off of the fire break, which is just below Buffalo's Hook Cut Line. And if anybody does want to follow us on the map, then we can do. And all you need to do is go to wildearth.ning.com, go to the resource menu, and there'll be a pull down menu, and you click on map, and you'll be able to see the traversing area that we have here in Juma Game Reserve. It's roughly about 1,000 hectares. It's almost square, very nearly. Actually just trying to remember what the name of the network in the throat was. It's the carotid Maribillae, I think it was. Also, when animals do go through heat stress, especially kangaroos, so I'm sure I've seen cats do it as well, but especially kangaroos, when they do go through heat stress, they'll actually lick the forearms. So they'll pant as well, but they'll lick the forearms where the skin is quite thin, where the blood vessels are also close to the surface, and it'll actually, it acts like our sweating, so it's putting moisture on that area to help cool them down. So animals do have their ways of cooling off. The elephants have their ears, they're able to pump blood around those ears. And they probably have around 400 litres of blood. I think it takes about 20 minutes for all the blood to be circulated through those ears. And as they flap the ears, wind passes over them and helps to shed the heat, and it can be so much as 3 degrees. Now it doesn't sound a lot, but believe me, 3 degrees in temperature can make a lot of difference, especially to such a large animal, and that is how they can keep cool. Behaviour as well also will help animals to keep cool, so rolling in mud. It's gone a bit chilly with that wind again. The animals will roll in mud, they'll seek shade. And that's also one of the reasons why animals are coloured the way they are. Also, there's been some research done into why giraffes have patches of light and dark areas. And apparently they've got a lot more blood vessels below or beneath the surface of the dark patches. And that could account for they can actually walk around during the day, they don't have to go and find shade. It could be that obviously with dark colours they're able to emit heat a lot better than lighter colours. And obviously lighter colours reflect heat. So it could be that those dark areas, dark patches, actually help to cool off the giraffe during the heat of the day. It's the increased blood going to the dark areas, the increased amount of blood vessels going there, able to have a lot more blood passing close to that area, and let's say again shedding the heat. And obviously when it's cold, those dark patches are going to be able to absorb heat a lot better than the light areas. So colour can also help animals to cool off. Picked up some signs of elephants. Look particularly fresh though. I'm hoping maybe that bird's going to be around. We do have 15 minutes or so left of drive, so you never know. Might bump into them. To us about the top speed of the wild dog. I know Joe sent through the average speed. If anyone was able to look up the top speed of the wild dog for us. Oh, we've got water here. Thanks, Connie. Only Connie did come back with the top speed about 35 miles an hour. Oh, sorry, 37, which translates as Bev saying also Dave. Sorry. Alright, I've just had some tracks which just caught my attention. It looks like they're hyena. Well, thanks Dave, coming through with the kilometres as well, 60 kilometres, so top speed 60 kilometres. Are we able to get it? I'm not going to be able to see it. Too many branches. Bad through to a gap through there. I think that's going to happen. It's in there somewhere. Oh, it's got some beautiful horns there. A large bull. It's funny actually, just stopping to look at these tracks, that's how I just saw him. He just happened to move, because obviously I stopped, and I happened just to look around, and otherwise we probably would have driven straight past him. You can see he's very well hidden. Just see the ear twitching, trying to shoo away flies. You see his jaw moving there, and all he's doing there is just chewing the cud, just like the rest of the antelope and buffalo do. And say when they find a quiet spot, usually in the hottest part of the day. The cud is just what they've gathered that morning. And it's gone down into the first part of the stomach, the rumen, where all the bacteria is. That helps to break down the cellulose that's in the plants. And they'll regurgitate it with some of the bacteria. Regurgitate the larger parts, chew it around, obviously using the teeth to grind it down, open up the parts of the plant so it allows the bacteria to get at the cellulose, and then they'll swallow it down and it will be digested through the other 3 parts of the stomach. And if they've actually eaten parts that don't need as much work, they'll just pass straight through the rumen and be digested straight away. So it's actually a separation system. And the larger parts tend to sort of float on the upper part of the stomach, if you like, and the smaller parts, as I say, are passed through straight away. So this does mean they don't need to gather as much food as, say, like a rhino or an elephant. They've got quite poor digestive systems in comparison. But where they fall down is they need to have good quality food, whereas the zebra, the rhino, the elephants can actually have quite a lot of poor quality food. But obviously the downside is they need to get a lot of it, and that's why they tend to be quite large as well, to accommodate the fact that they need to get a lot of food. So if anybody is following us, we're on Central Road now. So I have some of the tracks that's what we're actually looking at. There's some tracks on this side of the road as well. Oh, looks like the dogs actually walked through here as well. Unless that's just a slightly obscure hyena track. Could be. Just looked a little bit too... Yeah, no, it is a slightly obscure hyena track. I'll just quickly turn on to Vulture's Nest. See how far down that road we'll get. So there's a lot of hyena activity here. I still think the den is up here somewhere as well. I still think so. But I could be wrong. It'll be very apt, Hyena Road. right down this side on Vulture's Nest Road. I'm certainly going to go and see if I can get a picture of the dog spawn. If I do, I'll put that up on Facebook. Just hoping that I didn't drive over them too much on the other vehicles. Unfortunately, they did pretty much go on all the main roads. Interesting that Vulture was also watching. I did wonder if they actually saw from the sky the impala actually running away from the wild dog, and it was actually hoping to get in early. So they do watch the behaviour of other animals. Hey, Vulture is up in the tree. Got it 30 seconds to actually see it. Now this nest isn't actually the reason why Vulture's Nest is called Vulture's Nest. It was actually a different nest on the other side of the road. But obviously the vultures decided that they wanted a better view. And with that, unfortunately, we have come to the end of the drive this morning. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. And as I say, if you could have seen Sebastian doing his happy dance in the back there, it was certainly something to see. But wow, what a morning. I'm really, really glad you guys were able to join us for it. And who knows, maybe we might have more wild dog here in future. That would be absolutely fantastic. But thank you everybody for all the questions. And as I say, we'll see if we can get a picture of the spoor as well for you. But for myself and the rest of the crew, and the Vulture, we'll have to say goodbye for now. And join us again at 3 o'clock Central Africa time for our next live safari. I'm not really going to say goodbye without actually saying goodbye properly. So take care everybody. From myself, Sebastian and Mark, see you again soon. Goodbye.